All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Green White Checkered TV. Tonight we have the Area 51 Premier Series here tonight at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And so we're going to kick things off right away here. We're going to hop on board with that number 51 of Maxwell Caldwell. He's going to take us through a lap of this track here at Atlanta. So Maxwell, take us through a lap here at this track and what we should be expecting to see tonight.
Absolutely. So first off, thanks for everybody tuning in tonight. Should be a good race. We always love Atlanta, and we're here in the Xfinity cars this time instead of the Cup cars. So a couple things we're going to notice here is we have a very loose setup for tonight, and we're not used to saying that a lot. We're probably going to be burning the right rear more than the right front, but one thing I want to point out here is we have multiple lines we can run. So we have our typical line that we can run right here, where you let that baby drift down and run that Kevin Harvick line, right? Get it all the way down to that white line and try to slide it up out of the corners. So you can run that line, but there's also another groove with this setup that's going to be real instrumental for the drivers here, and it's literally right up next to the wall, which I'll tap it there, kind of mess that up for y'all, but you can run right up here next to the wall. I find it more comfortable in 1 and 2 than I do 3 and 4, but you should get some massive runs off the corner. So as I enter high here, really modulating the throttle, really just kind of playing with it, getting it set where you want it to get that nice run off right here. Gives you all that momentum down the straightaway to be able to make a pass, and is also going to help probably get you some cleaner air. But it's going to be interesting to see where guys run, because there's a lot of bumps on this track too. Are they going to run right up next to the wall? Are they going to run that middle groove, or are they going to run the bottom, right? All kinds of passing opportunities, and the thing I love the most, Gael, is we're going to have the opportunity to see some great passing tonight, as we'll see some comers and goers. Who's going to be fast on fresh tires, and who's going to get really loose like I just did there, right? One slip up there, and someone's going to be rocking right around you, either on the inside or the outside. And the last thing we're going to have to watch is pit road entry. Now, it's not going to be like last week where we could easily hit that wall, but we do have a very, very slow pit road again this week, 50 miles an hour. So you really got to lock that baby down and not slide out in the grass. There's no walls to catch you here. If you slide out in that grass or you hit that cone, you're going to be serving a penalty. So a lot to look out for here in Atlanta, but it should be an awesome time. So looking forward to it, Gael.
Yeah, yes, and you nailed it there. So there's going to be a lot of places for these drivers to work around on the track. Say, be it that low line, the top line. I said even the middle line is going to be an option for these guys as well tonight. Like you said, the question is going to be which is going to be the way to go. So, like you said, the top line looks like it's got good speed. Obviously, great momentum on the exits of those turns. But the risk, of course, there is to say you don't have a lot of breathing room for that wall off on the exit. So that's what's going to be very interesting. A lot of fun to see kind of what's going to be the decision for these guys of what they're going to want to do here tonight. So. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to see what's going to be the way to go here. And of course, the other thing is the tire limits. We're going to have 4 sets of tires in the pits. We believe it's going to be a 2-stopper on tires and fuel. I think tires is going to be actually probably the more critical of the two. I mean, we've had 2 weeks in a row. Larry's been proving us wrong on the fuel mileage in that number 67 car. So we'll see. So if there's someone who's going to stretch it, it'd be that 67 we got to watch out for.
Absolutely, and as qualifying wraps up here, we'll go over that starting grid in just a moment. But one thing I wanted to note is a lot of these drivers, when they qualified, probably use that top side. I feel like even at the start of the run, you're going to have a lot of speed right up there up top in both corners. So look for guys to maybe fight for the top line, but as they do that, that's going to open up that bottom line for a lot of passes to be made. Definitely should see a lot of passing tonight with as loose as the setup is, and should definitely see some comers and goers tonight. I can't wait to get this thing kicked off.
Yeah, with that, we got to pull up our starting grid for tonight. And it's going to be Kevin DeBrown in the 93, getting pole position by about 0.02 of a second over Skylar Brown, no relation. In third is Larry Yingling, Chad Wilkes in fourth. Ryan Kelly is in fifth. And then 6th through 12th, you've got Dale Knott right there. Todd Merkel, James Ledford, Michael Spell, Alberto Lopez. And then it looks like a lot of drivers opting not to qualify tonight. So you see Gabe Butler there will be in 11th. And say we'll have at least one driver who's going to benefit from a spot from you there, Maxwell. And it's going to be Jack Walls in 13th, Mark Brown 14th. Then you got Chris Matthews in 15th, Jason Swan 16th position, Eric Laurie, Dale Willoughby, Todd Kirkwood, Jamie Knott, Don Rickle Jr., and Joseph DeCiro rounding out our 21 drivers for tonight's event.
Absolutely. So looking at a pretty full field, we normally average about 20 drivers a race here in the Premier Series. So good to see a good turnout tonight, and real interested to see how some of these drivers tackle this new loose setup. You see about half the field qualified, half of them didn't. That tells me half of them are pretty comfortable with what they got, and half of them are trying to get out of Dodge here and just fill it out the first few laps. But we've only got 100 laps, and the last couple times we've came here, we've seen the race go completely green flag. Flag to flag. So we never had cautions in there. So it's going to be really interesting to see if these guys are in the back, if they're going to be able to make up all those positions or not. But look for some of them guys in the back, like Jack Walls, and some of those guys to really start moving their way through the field. I feel like some of those guys back there have some speed and just decided to take it easy on qualifying.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Like I said, there's going to be some questions about, the kind of, like I said, the comers and goers. I think that's going to be a big one. And then just like you said, the strategy of what's going to be the right approach here tonight. How aggressive do you be early on? So that's going to be a lot of fun to see kind of what strategy these drivers make. Are they going to push real hard early and then try to settle in? Or are we going to see some drivers really try to save that right front, right rear tire and then kind of make the most of that as the run progresses? So it's going to be fun to see. We've got one of our viewers here, one of our Super Speedway regulars, Kevin Hash. He's talking sense back over to you, Maxwell. He's got some good memories of last season from that. We're watching you on board. When you caught that wall on the outside line. So you're bringing back some fond memories for that 03 of Kevin Hash.
Yeah, me and Kevin's pretty good buds. We like to aggravate each other quite a bit. If I ever get in a room with him, I love to just mess with him for a little while. So he knows what I'm talking about. But it's good to see him tuning in tonight. And good to see him. I saw where he run real well on Sunday, getting a win, I believe. So that was pretty nice to see, getting another win for him. But we're getting ready to come green here, Gael. And I'm telling you, we've got to have to watch, I think, the right rear more than the right front. But I think the fastest guy is going to be who has the most balanced wear on the right side. If someone has extreme right rear wear or extreme right front, they're going to be slow. But the one that keeps it balanced is going to be the one in the catbird seat as we get ready to come to the green.
Yes, and the one thing we did not mention is this initial start. They're going to be real ginger on the throttle. Make sure they don't get too aggressive because these cars will spit out in a hurry. And you can see the big wiggle from the 93 of Kevin Brown there, and he's losing a lot of momentum. That's allowed Skylar Brown to rocket forward to the front here as they hit turn number 1 for the first time.
Absolutely. Seeing that high side just has so much momentum and has surprisingly quite a lot of grip. So look for some of these guys to rock that high side pretty early. And look at your big losers there, the 93 and the 67 there. So losing some spots early, but we know they're fast drivers. They can definitely make it up.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's going to be a nice advantage there for that 10 of Skylar Brown. He's going to lead the first lap here tonight at Atlanta. So now, like you said, the question is going to be, I think this might even come into play on the restarts too. We saw there the inside line, maybe not the preferred line on these restarts. And like you said, Maxwell, you can see already pretty much 3 to 4 distinct lines throughout the front 5-6 drivers there right off the bat.
Absolutely. And something else I noticed as I spanned out on my screen, most everybody's already gotten single file. They know how loose this setup is. It's early on. No need to wreck the car right now. Let's just feel it out. Let's make some laps, and let's actually see what a long run does. I don't think very many guys got a long run in. So is this setup going to tighten up as we go? Is it going to stay just as loose, or is it going to get looser? We don't know that yet, but look for guys to constantly change their lines as we see the 93 and 67 have already made their way straight up to the wall.
Yeah, I was watching the 10 of Skylar Brown in practice. He was pretty much committed to the wall. And you can see, it looks like that might be the theme for tonight. You see right now Chad Wilkes also, he decided to run the wall in 3 and 4, so it looks like that might be where the speed is, where that momentum is. But obviously at some point you're going to want to try to make a pass. You're going to have to go where they're not. So you see right now Kevin just kind of pretty much right in the tire tracks of that 17 of Chad Wilkes. So at some point, though, he's going to have to try to make a move. You saw Larry Yingling there. He's trying to sneak to the inside of that number 93 car. Has to fall back in line, but I think that's exactly what we're talking about. Larry here says, okay, well, these guys are all running on the top. I'm going to try to find some way to get around him, and he's going to roll the bottom here. And gets a really good exit there out of 4.
Yeah, and that's another thing about this setup is not only is the top good, the bottom is good if you've got the right throttle control. It's just about what's more comfortable. For most people, that top is a little bit bigger radius. You can stay in the throttle a little more like these drivers are used to in this league. So that kind of helps them out there. But Larry puts a slider on the 93 and just almost doesn't clear there. But I love what Larry's doing. He's going where they're not. He's putting clean air on the nose and going where they're not to make the passes. And exactly, Chad Wilkes saw that, and now look at him in 3 and 4 using that bottom lane to try to sneak up on that 10 car.
Yeah, so he made some good momentum there through 3 and 4, like you said, on the bottom line. So, and again, he sees it again. He's going to go straight back to the bottom. So this is going to be a really good show right here as he comes out of 2. You can see he gets right to the back there of Skylar. But you see Skylar, he's got the momentum on the exits. Maybe stretches about a half a car length or so through there. But of course, what you see here again now as they go through 3 is you're going to see at 17, he's going to close the gap through the turn. But usually you'll see that top line pick up some momentum on the exit. So, like I said, just really all about how the car's rotating and kind of who's able to work the throttle better. So right now these top 4 drivers all having a really good scrap here up front.
Absolutely, and we got that big battle for the lead going on right now between those two. So we see that going on, but something else I'm watching with Chad Wilkes here. I'm watching the different lines. The top line will be notorious, as loose as this setup is, for probably hanging that right rear out and really putting a lot of heat into that tire as the run goes on, therefore burning up that right rear, making the car extremely loose through the run. Chad Wilkes started up high, and now he's starting to work his way down low. Maybe he's trying to save some of that right rear for later in the run. We know what kind of long run pace that 17 has. Oh, and since we haven't talked about him, let's not forget about the guy that's won quite a few of these Atlanta races. It's just hanging back, taking his time here, that 13 of Ryan Kelly.
Yeah, so I think this is Ryan right now letting these guys, like, you know what, you guys fight, you guys bring your stuff up here. I'll see you guys in about maybe 10 laps or so. Atlanta's one of those tracks where basically everything's a little bit accelerated with like tire wear, things of that nature. So it might be one of those things where maybe it's like 20 laps, 30 laps for a normal fuel run at those kinds of tracks. At Atlanta, so you're going to be able to kind of speed that up just a little bit with the wears. So right now, Ryan Kelly watching lap times, and he is right on pace with the leaders on the lap times, really low 32-second mark right now. And then right behind him, he's a good little battle with Dale Knott and Alberto Lopez. Alberto, he's actually +3 from his starting spot, so he's made some quick work early on working towards the front, trying to grab that +4 and get into that top 6. And a little further back as well, Mark Brown, he's done a great job as well from 14th to 4th in that number 73. So obviously his son doing a little better up in the front right now, but Dale's starting towards the back. He's made a really good charge here early on as well.
Absolutely, and as you've been watching some battles in the back of the field, I'm seeing this fight for the lead really tighten up. We've got Larry Yingling trying to make the pass currently on Chad Wilkes, and it looks like he's got some pace to come after Skylar Brown in that 10.
Yeah, saying that's going to be the thing, is it's going to be first. Larry's got to find a way to get around the 17. You see, again, he's able to really send it off into turn number 1 here, but look at the momentum that Chad's able to get. You see, Larry wants to take all the exit that he can, but he just isn't quite able to, and that's going to allow Chad to sneak back by him there through the backstretch. And now Chad's going to run the low side. So again, you see now Larry actually going to run the middle here. So I mean, look at this right now. You got these 4 cars all running in different grooves right here. Just trying to find where that pace is, and of course trying to get some of that clean air to keep that pressure on these guys around him.
Absolutely, and I think the 17 hangs on to that position merely because he ran a few laps down on the bottom, trying to take care of that right rear so that when he needed it, when he was under attack, he was able to drive off. And look, he's lost no time to Skylar Brown in the 10. Matter of fact, I wonder if Skylar's not almost holding them up just a little bit as you see these top 4 tighten up, and not to mention that 13 starting to creep in lap after lap and get closer and closer.
Yeah, so they've been watching the lap times, and like I said, Ryan Kelly been one of the quicker cars, not by much. It's a couple hundredths at most. But like I said, Chad Wilkes, I mean, this is pretty much the closest he's been now for this lead battle. Gets right on the left rear of that 10 car entering turn number 1. I say he's actually going to run the middle groove this time. Doesn't go straight to the bottom, so it's going to help his exit off of 2. And I say he is close, but just not quite enough as of yet. But really good battle between the 2 of these guys. Actually, I should say the 4 of these guys right now for this lead.
And I think what you're going to see here is I think you're going to see a lot of patience out of the 67 and the 17. Yeah, 17 keeps going down low just to see what he can do, but he's also taking care of his stuff a little bit more down there. And as the run goes on, his goal would be to get in front of Skylar before green flag pit stops or before a caution came out. That way he would just have that track position coming down pit road. I think that's what you're going to see more than anything. So I don't know that the 17 is going to quite be able to pull that pass off, but he's definitely going to have more right rear later in this run when he needs it most.
Yeah, saying So it's hard to kind of jump around and watch some of the other battles. I did see just for a moment there, Alberto Lopez got real loose off of turn 2, had to chase it down to the apron basically on the backstretch. And we have now officially got a 5-car race for lead because Ryan Kelly, he has found his way into this battle as well. So Ryan Kelly ready to join the fight here as well for this top spot.
And you know where he was running those first 15 laps of the race, 14 laps? He was right on the bottom lap after lap as he ran them down. So now he's just now starting to move his way up to the high side. So look for him to have a lot of pace if he can get by these guys. That's going to be the problem, though. You can find speed up top, but everybody's fighting for it. And also, with that many cars running that high line, you're going to be putting a lot of heat into that lane and a lot of rubber into that lane. The bottom, as this race goes on, is probably going to be more and more prominent and probably going to get better because it's going to have some cooler temps down there on the bottom. And look at Ryan Kelly as he just sends it on the bottom and gets a great run through 1 and 2.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that car's just really sticking to the bottom without any problem. We've seen other cars, they run the bottom, and then you've seen they just kind of get that snap loose oversteer on the exit. Like you said, Ryan Kelly, he's just able to really keep that car pinned to the inside. You can see, almost if if Larry wasn't there, he'd probably be able to clear the 93. And as I say that, Kevin gets real loose there off of 4. That's going to cost him a couple of car lengths. That's going to allow Ryan to clear him. And now Ryan's going to work over Larry Yingling. But while he does that, he's going to kind of have to try to see if he can get a 2-for-1 here, working over the 10 and the 17 as they come out of 2.
I think Ryan Kelly's just moments away from taking this lead. I'm telling you, I love that strategy he had. He knew those guys were mixing it up, so he sat back, ran that bottom line, kept his right rear intact, maybe burned his right front just a little, but now he's able to kind of have a car that has a lot of rear grip on exit, and it's starting to show off these corners. Look at it moving from 5th to 2nd in, what, 2 laps?
Yeah,
How
no,
awesome is that?
You're exactly right. I say this car is definitely doing everything he's asking of it and then some. And like I said, I think that's just him taking perfect care of those tires those first maybe 15 or so laps. And now he's really making use of it here. As you can see, he gets a great run off of 2. I think he's going to be able to get underneath the 10 car here, entering 3. And I think, like I said, with that momentum he has, I think he's going to be able to complete this pass here off of 4. We'll have to see what kind of momentum Skylar can get working that top side.
And that 10 car, he's also been pretty loose throughout this run because I saw him kind of flirt with the wall a couple times as Ryan Kelly makes the pass and gets those ever so precious bonus point there for leading the lap. But now you're going to see him stick it up to the top now, and he's going to have a lot more right rear tire than the rest of these guys. So look for him to almost pull away a little bit as you see these other guys are sliding in the middle of the corner where Ryan is able to drive it through the corner.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive there for Ryan to, like I said, to work his way through there. And then what I was most surprised about was the fact that he went straight to the top as soon as he did that. But now you see through 3 and 4. Oh, as I say, that big loose for the 13 car out of 4 hangs on to it, but so you know that's going to get those rear tires a little angrier there. I also saw Skylar Brown. He ran the inside line that last time by in that 10 machine through 3 and 4. But yeah, it looks like everybody's pretty much running the top here. I see one car just creeping into the picture, though, is that number 94, Dale Knott. So I know you're obviously a little bit biased towards that car number, but he is putting on a really good show right now. So he's running pretty much identical lap times to Ryan Kelly, which are about 2 to 3 tenths of a second quicker than Skylar through Kevin DeBrown.
And again, those 4 guys we see still in their bubble, they have been battling since the drop of the green flag, running different lines, trying to move under each other, getting shallow entries, right? Or getting forced up out of the groove they wanted. You know, they've been angering their tires pretty good. Dale was in a small battle, but it was really a single file battle, so it wasn't too bad. So he's probably been able to save a lot of tire here. So he's actually trying to come up through, and look at the run he's getting, just catching up to that 17 like he's nothing. So this is what I said earlier in the race. We're going to have a lot of comers and goers. And I love seeing that 94. I am a bit biased. I love seeing that 94 coming up through the field and starting to maybe make his way into the top 5 here.
Yeah, so he's right there in the mix. He's gotten to the back of Chad Wilkes. Again, these last couple laps, the only cars quicker than him is our race leader of Ryan Kelly. But now Dale's going to have to try to replicate what he saw that 13 car do and try to work his way to the inside and start making some more passes. As I say, we start lap number 22 here. Judy mentioned a little further back, James Ledford right now, he's been able to work his way up now up to 7th in that 48 machine, able to get around Alberto Lopez a few laps ago. And right now, though, our biggest mover of the race is the 99 car of Todd Kirkwood. And I'm saying he's +7, and he's looking at getting about 3 more here in quick succession. He's got the 73 Mark Brown right in front of him, Todd Merkel in the 2, and then Gabe Butler in the 1 car. That would bring him into the 9th position if he can get around these 3. So a really good start for that 99 car of Todd Kirkwood as well.
Absolutely, running a great race there for him. And as many battles as there are back in the field, I have not been able to pull away from this gaggle of cars up front. It's almost a 5-car battle now for second, but I'm telling you, I think that 10 has been slowing people down because I'm watching the times. Ryan Kelly's already pulled pretty well a 2-second gap on that 10 car in just a few short laps he's been out front. And I feel like all these other guys, if they got around him, they could probably pull away a little bit, but they're just, when they're all running the same line, burning that right rear up, it's hard for them to get the grip they need to pass. Yingling almost had it done a couple laps ago, but just was not able to clear off the corner. But if they can ever get past this 10, I feel like Larry and maybe even Kevin could probably start pulling away at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I think that also really highlights how good of a job Ryan Kelly did there in that opening stint. The fact that he got through all of those guys and then around Skyler and was able to then, like you said, then set sail. And these guys, they've been trying for all their work, but they just haven't been able to get around Skyler. Like I said, he's working that top line to perfection right now, just kind of running that pace he needs to keep these guys behind him. So, yeah, just a really good job by this group up here. And like I said, a great battle here for second on back. Had a few cars that have hit pit road a little early, the 20 of Alberto Lopez, and then the 69 of Jamie Knott. Looks like he's still sitting in pit road. So maybe some damage repairs being done to that car. Not 100% sure. But yeah, so right now a couple early pitters, but for me, pit strategy wise, if you're Ryan Kelly, do you split it in thirds like you normally see him do? So maybe we see him around lap 33, 34, or like we've seen him do before as well. Sometimes he might try to react to those guys around him because this is a very abrasive track. So that 1 or 2 laps on fresh tires could be extremely critical in the long run.
Well, and I'm looking at lap times right now, and I'm telling you, Ryan Kelly, our leader, who is just pulling away, he is still 2 seconds off his fastest lap. He ran his fastest lap on lap 4 to 31.7, and he's currently running 33.5. So that's, 2 whole seconds off pace of fresh tires. So the guys pitting right now, I wouldn't be too worried about coming in at this moment, but I would definitely want to make sure I'm the first one out of the group to come in. Because if we have Skyler or Larry or Chad or Kevin pit, or even Dale, they will be able to overcome this 2-second gap Ryan's got in a matter of a lap. So
and here actually
really
we got our first taker early pit stop. It's going to be that 93 of Kevin DeBrown. Coming a little early here, coming at lap number 28, so he's trying to go off strategy in this 93 car, see if he can make something happen. I was going to mention just before that, though, right now, one of the fastest cars on track, besides obviously our race leader Ryan Kelly, is actually that one car, Gabe Butler. He was only about half a hundredth off, a 46 to a 52 for the one car, so he is really starting to stretch that gap out as well. So I think Gabe also taking care of those tires early, and he's been able to make some pretty big dividends on it on this long run.
Absolutely, and I think I know why Kevin came down pit road here. I noticed that Ryan was running 33.5s. He had been running 33.8s and 33.9s even, so he needed to get some tires on there. He was doing himself no good losing 2-3 a lap on Ryan Kelly, so he had to do something different there. Just used them up early in that battle with Yingling and Wilkes.
And that battle's still ongoing. And look at now, this is something I was going to mention. I hadn't had a chance to mention it yet. Is on the older tires, this car gets very sketchy, kind of tail happy almost on the straightaways, where it's really hard to keep that car kind of pointing in the right direction almost. And we saw that from Chad Wilkes. The car was really starting to wobble around him a little bit, and so he was finally able to clear, though, that 10 of Skylar Brown, so move Chad up to second place in that number 17. And then Kevin's asking in the chat here as well, fuel window should be roughly around the 40 lap mark or so, they can go probably about 40, maybe a little longer than that on fuel, but I think tires are going to be the more critical decision maker for pit stops tonight.
I don't think fuel is going to be what you're looking at here. I think you're going to be looking at tires more than anything. And I'm really shocked that my fellow... Skylar Brown actually gets into the wall a little bit, loses all those spots, still wiggling down the straightaway and trying to recover. Look for him to probably be on pit road this time to just minimize the damage he just did there.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, too. I think that's the time for him now. This might be right time to jump in here. You're on lap 31, coming to 32, so you'd be right around that third of a distance mark of the race. As you see, here comes that 93 of Kevin Brown after his pit stop. So right now he is running in the 31-second bracket, so basically 2 seconds a lap faster. You see the 10 again catch the wall, and it looks like, yep, here he comes. He's going to make a quick decision there. He's going to hit pit road. Like I said, got to really drop it down to that pit speed. So I think that's a really good call by Skylar there to kind of just minimize the damage there, get those tires, and then get back out on track here.
And Kevin Brown is showing you right now what 2 seconds a lap looks like. Clears all 3 of those fast race cars in one corner.
Yeah, I was saying that's let's say there's going to be the kind of that short-term gain, long-term loss as well. So for Kevin right now, obviously the first thing is he wants this thing to stay green. I mean, he is in the position to be that lucky dog car should a caution come out. But if this cycles through all the way, what I suspect we'll see is Kevin is going to have a huge lead in that 93 car, but then he's going to have his pace fall off a ton compared to the guys on the fresh tires. So we are in lap 33, so this is now where I'm going to be watching Ryan Kelly here. Does Ryan do his kind of his usual strategy here and he pit at that third distance mark, or is he going to make these other guys react, because he does have about a 5-second gap over Chad Wilkes in second.
I don't know if Ryan was wanting to or not, but he had this lap car right here below him, and I don't think that allowed him to commit to pit road like he might have wanted to. So if this car gets around him, I would look to see if he comes down this time after these cars get around. But Kevin Brown could make it where he doesn't get to pit again.
Oh, Kevin is hustling this car right now. You saw him get loose there off of 2. I see Don Runkle Jr. He did just make his pit stop a lap ago, so he's trying to get one of those laps back. Because obviously if you're 2 down, that's going to be a lot more difficult than if you're 1 down. So he has to be a little bit aggressive there to make sure he can keep that track position. And there goes Kevin. He's going to unlap himself right as we speak. And we do have a handful of drivers in the pits now. It's including James Ledford, Gabe Butler, and Michael Spell. They're all hitting pit road, but right now leaders all still stay out. So right now Chad Wilkes still holding second. And surprisingly though, Larry Yingling starting to fall off the back a little bit. So you know what as we always do here, I'm going to hop on board. I'm going to be listening to the 67 car. Is he going to try to make some big fuel numbers out of this car? So let's go on board here. Let's take a listen in turn 3. Oh, Larry, you sneaky, sneaky man. He is going to try to work this fuel number. You can see he's clutching that car. I was joking with him earlier during practice, asking him, I say, all right, Larry, how many laps can you make? He said 51. But you never know if Larry's joking or not. I do need to mention, actually, our race leader, Ryan Kelly, he does hit pit road. So this is that stop we talked about right around that distance, third of a distance mark in the race. So he does not want to be undercut by those guys around him. However, again, now we're going to be watching Larry Yingling. If we stay green here, how far can that 67 car go? And this is going to put Dale Knott in that 94 car to the point.
And I'd be real curious to know if Larry has been clutching this whole time or not, because he was racing awfully hard in that pack for a long period of time. Even though he's clutching now, I don't know that that's going to get him to the lap he quite wants to go to. But maybe he's just looking to see if there's a caution that comes out between these guys pitting and lap cars is what I think he's looking for more than anything. Because if he can catch the caution and catch some of these guys a lap down, then he's done his job, right? He's put, 3/4 of the field a lap down and made his life a whole lot easier. But if he doesn't get the caution, I really think he's going to be hurting here as far as track position goes. So
yeah, this will be very interesting.
I see this race as being probably a 3-stopper just because of the tires. I mean, Ryan pretty well pitted at a somewhat third of the way mark, so I see another pit stop around lap 66 to 70, somewhere in there, and then him going on from there. I don't think you can make this on just one stop, and I think you're going to want the tires. I think the tires will make all the difference. So
yeah, and the biggest thing for Ryan Kelly there was he made his pit stop and he stayed on the lead lap as well. So that 13 car right now sitting pretty here. So he's still on the lead lap, tail-ended lead lap. Skylar Brown right behind him. I'll say again, those two just made their pit stops. Ryan pitted about 4 laps later than Ryan pitted 4 laps later than Skylar, apologies. However, we talked about that gap between himself and Kevin DeBrown in that number 93 car, and you can see it's about a 9-second gap right now. And I mean, it is looking like at this point, let's say again, we talked about that short-term gain. That 93's got a huge gap up front. But as I say, that Chad Wilkes, Dale Knott, Todd Kirkwood all hitting pit road here for service to their machines. And that's coming at lap number 39. So, and I think that's right around roughly the fuel mileage that we thought they could go. Because they actually talking to Jamie now in the chat there. He was in that 69 car tonight. And actually, as I said, here comes Larry Yingling. So he got me nervous. He's going to be pitting here at lap number 40. So yeah, it's going to be a 2-stop race, it looks like, for everybody up front.
Like I said, he was just banking on a caution there and trying to run those few extra laps just to see. But I don't think he ran enough laps to make a difference between him and Ryan Kelly's tires. I think Ryan's going to get that big gap, but I don't think Larry's going to be that much different on tires to run that big gap back down. Because Ryan already had like a 2.5 to 3 second lead on them before they ever hit pit road. So That's going to be hard to overcome. But I think Ryan Kelly's still in the catbird seat. I know Skylar's got that big gap, but the difference between them two pitting was quite a few laps. So I think Ryan, over the course of the run, is probably going to knock a couple tenths off a lap until he gets to him.
Yeah, but as you see right now, our final driver hitting pit road, that is the 83 of Jack Walls. And like I said, this is going to have now put that 93 car of Kevin Brown to the point. And unfortunately, it sounds like the number where did he go? The 94 sounds like unsafe pit exit for that 94 of Dale Knott. So unfortunately, you can see he's having to hit pit road one more time. So that's going to really hurt him right now. So he was in that lead battle, like we mentioned, with Ryan Kelly, Larry Yingling, and Chad Wilkes. So unfortunately, a big, huge disadvantage there for Dale. Unfortunate. So he was looking really good there, but say this is a very easy track to make those pit mistakes at.
And you hit the nail on the head right there. I don't know what it is about this particular track and this particular mile and a half, but it seems to me it's so easy to either speed or just mess up on pit road here. I think it was 2 seasons ago I came into a race here, and it was early in the season like this. And both times I pitted for tires because it went green, and both times I pitted for tires, I had a hitting that cone on entry penalty both times. I mean, it's just so easy to mess this pit road up. Not to mention that these drivers, running 180, 190 off into the corners, and then they're having to slow down to 50 mile an hour for pit road. So, that's very difficult pit road to manage when the slowest speed you really run is about 160 mile an hour.
Yeah, exactly right. So, right now you see again with Kevin short pitting like he has, let's say he's got the lead, but again, he's got about 8 lap older tires than Ryan Kelly behind him. Skylar Brown, he's got about 6 lap older tires than Skylar. And right now that gap has shrunk to about 4.5 seconds. So you can see some drivers working on unlapping themselves right there. Todd Kirkwood, say Todd on about 9 lap fresher tires. So he'll say that was critical for him. And you see Todd Merkel about to do the same as well. I'll say Todd pitted on lap 39 compared to lap 27. So 12 laps difference between these guys. And I mean, that's showing you how much these things wear as these guys are really fighting to try to get their laps back.
Absolutely, and I do not believe for a minute Kevin is going to keep this lead over the long run, but I do think the strategy Kevin pulled of being one of those early pitters is going to be an advantage to him, because I do think he'll cycle out in second and probably no worse than third. We still have Chad Wilkes 17.9 seconds back, and that's probably going to update as they cross the line. But that's still, if it's even a second a lap that they gain, it's going to take quite a bit of time to start reeling in Kevin. And by the time they reel him in, guess what he can do? He can go ahead and pit again and have fresh tires and get an even bigger gap that next time. This could cycle out where it turns into Ryan Kelly trying to run Kevin down for this win. But if I'm Ryan, what I'm watching for is when Kevin hits pit road again, I'm hitting pit road again, and I'm going to be keeping my gap and being on equal tires. That way he can't run me back down.
Yeah, so, I mean, that gap is closing in quickly. Last time by Ryan Kelly's about 9/10 of a second quicker, a 33.33 to a 32.44. Now, I said we can actually pull up some of the pit stop strategies here that you see there. And so you see Kevin Brown pitting on lap 27, Ryan Kelly on 35. Then you got Skylar Brown on lap 31, Chad Wilkes 38, Gabe Butler on lap 33, Larry Yingling, the one that went the furthest there on lap 39. And then Alberto Lopez on lap 23, James Ledford on lap 33. So there's a big window there. I mean, that's about a 16-lap window. Say we saw Alberto Lopez one of the earliest there to pit. As you see, more drivers going ahead and getting themselves put back onto the lead lap here. So yes, I mean, right now though, say let's see if I can pull up our lap time comparisons to some of these guys, and you can see right here from lap 42 to 46, it's pretty much every lap right now is roughly, it's in the 8/10 of a second or greater for Ryan Kelly, just chasing down that 93 car. And I mean, you can see he's within distance now. I mean, he's only half a second away, so I think pretty much in the next lap or so we're going to see a new leader back to that 13.
Absolutely, and Ryan Kelly just running the race that he needs to run. So I think he's just pacing himself. I don't think he's going super hard. I think that's just mainly the difference in tires. And he's going to make this look real easy now and just roll in that bottom in 3 and 4. And I think Kevin's not going to put up much of a fight. He's just going to slide right by and be clear sailing from here. Now, what Ryan needs to do that he's got the lead is now he needs to put in some Q laps. He needs to put in some pace. He needs to see how big of a gap can he make before these tires start equalizing with Kevin's. Because each lap they run, they're going to get more and more equal to each other and matching lap times. So Ryan needs to really start building the gap and build it quick. He probably had about a 3 to 4 second lead, somewhere in that range before pit stops. He needs to probably get that to like an 8 or 9 second advantage now. That way, when he does pit, he knows that he's got a plenty big gap, and that as long as he pits with the other guys, no one should be able to run him down.
Yeah, I mean, he's already built it to about a second and a half in just that one lap. And like you said, I mean, so right now we're focusing on him and the 93 of Kevin Brown. Saying right now, like I said, it's grown to just about just about 2 seconds now, and it's only going to keep growing. But say you have to go back to third to Skylar Brown. You can see he's over 5 seconds back of that number 13 car. And then Chad Wilkes, Larry Yingling, they ran about 3 to 4 laps longer than Ryan Kelly. But they're right now, I mean, they're 11 to 14 seconds behind that number 13 car. And I just don't think that's going to be enough of a difference for the fresh tires for them to really chase that 13 car down, especially knowing how good Ryan Kelly is at tire saving here, or really anywhere, honestly. So right now that 13 car is looking very, very good right now. I think he's pretty much doing exactly what you just talked about. I mean, he's just building this gap lap after lap. And like I said, I think right now he just needs to kind of pace himself, as we already actually have crossed the halfway point in this thing. So, I mean, right now, Ryan Kelly, I mean, we saw what he could do on equal tires to the field. Now we're seeing what he can do with slightly fresher tires in second and third.
Absolutely. And you talked about, you know, the people like Chad Wilkes and Larry Yingling trying to run these guys down. I think they were truly staying out, just banking on a caution. Someone pulling out on those fresh tires, not realizing how loose it was going to be, and probably looping it, because we've seen that before. As a matter of fact, we kind of saw a little bit of that at Dover with people coming out of the pits, you know. So I think they were kind of banking on something like that, but they're just probably not going to get that tonight. And I want to say a huge shout out to all these drivers. I really expected at least 1 or 2 early yellows until guys got used to that looseness, but we have ran green with what I would say is probably the loosest setup we've ran in Area 51. So I'm really pumped about that. That means we can start running these setups looser. And I know you've seen it just as well as I have. I've been watching this whole race through Blimp View, and let me tell you, so many different lines, so many different grooves, and so many comers and goers, and just passing side-by-side racing we saw in that group for like 20 laps, right? So all kinds of action going on. I think this is a great package we brought to this track, and it makes me jealous. It makes me want to be back out there, Guy. I think I told you that before the race started, that I was like, man, maybe I should just run this car out here instead of sitting in the booth tonight. But just looks like a lot of fun these guys are having, for sure.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. So I'm in the same boat. Yeah, when I say, and I worked with Dale, and I mean, he's been doing a really good job with these setups, really spending some good time and making sure he gets driver's input. Okay, what's working, what's not working, and yeah, he just spends a lot of time to make sure everything's working well here. So we'll do here real quick, as I would say, while things are slightly calm before the pit stop cycles begin again, let's run through our field here so we can kind of see where everybody's running. Kevin is wondering now, not if, but when is that next caution going to happen? So he thinks he put the jinx on it, Maxwell. So we'll have to kind of put a guess on the lap that might come into play. But right now, though, let's run through the fields. Ryan Kelly leading the way. Again, started in 5th, currently in the lead. He's got a solid about 5-second lead over Kevin Brown, who is still in second. Went that short pit strategy, and it's working very well for him. He's still holding about 2 seconds over Skylar Brown, who's in that 3rd position. Started in 2nd, just 1 spot back from where he began. Then you got Chad Wilkes. He is closing that gap on Skylar Brown. It looks like it is about, so I'm trying to make sure I have the numbers right. I think it's about 4 seconds between the two of them. And then Larry Yingling just about a second off of Chad in that top 5 right now, holding solidly there. And we got 6th position is the number 1 of Gabe Butler. +5 from his starting position, so great job by Gabe here to work his way into that 6th spot, trying to see if he can crack the top 5. Right behind him, James Ledford in the 48 car, +1 from his starting position. And then probably right now a very proud dad of that number 10 car of Mark Brown, of Skylar Brown. Right now, Mark also doing a great job, +6 into that 8th position. In 9th, you got Jack Walls right behind him. I think Jack, the freshest of anybody on the tires, so I think he's starting to work his way back towards the frenzy. You see him work around Mark Brown there. And you got Todd Kirkwood in the 99, and say right now, again, our highest mover, +9 from his starting spot into the top 10. In 11th, you've got the number 2 of Todd Kirkwood. We saw Todd had to hustle, but he got his car back out onto the lead lap again. And then Eric Laurie in the 12th position, +5 from his starting spot. And Alberto Lopez in the 13th spot. He was one of our earliest pitters, so I think he was going to be the next one we'll most likely see hit pit road here to open up the cycle again. And then in 14th position, I believe right now the first car one down is that number 81 of Jason Swan. Jason pitted right around the same time as Ryan Kelly, so he's holding pace with him very well, and I think that's a really good sign too. If you're if you're in that position, started towards the back, so you just kind of get the feel of these guys up front, learn from them as they go on. 15th, you got the 92 Chris Matthews. Right now, right where he started in that number 92 machine, and then 16th Dale Willoughby in that number 7. He's gained a couple spots from his starting position. And then the remaining couple of drivers on the track, Don Runkle Jr. +4 from him, started in 21st, now up into 17th. Michael Speld, not the night he's been looking for. He's dropped a few spots. He's down into 18th. And as we know, unfortunately, Dale, not that speeding penalty on the exit. That's really set him back. He was in that top 5 battle, but unfortunately had a really long stop and hold penalty due to the pit stop speeding or unsafe exit, I believe it was. And so that's dropped him all the way down to 19th, and at this point he just needs something to happen to get himself back into contention.
Absolutely, and as we finish up that through the field here, I just heard the 20 car say they were coming down pit road now. So looking for maybe the start of our final pit stops of the night. Got to make sure we don't speed. We got to make sure that entrance speeds fast, but we also got to get it down to pit road speed. We got to make sure we get in our box and exit out properly. This is the money stop for everybody. So now, as Ryan Kelly pulls out to a 7.5 second lead, biggest lead he's had all night, let's see how long he stays out this run before he decides to pit. I think he's going to have to pit when Kevin Brown does, is my honest thought. He's going to have to pit before the rest of these guys, knowing that he has the pace to make it the rest of the way.
So I'm going to do my usual. I'm going to play opposite on you there, Maxwell. I'm going to give if I'm Ryan, I think I wait maybe 2-3 laps before I bring that 13 car in after Kevin comes in. Because like you said, right now, 8-second gap, and like you said, on the lap time difference, it's about a 2-second gap difference per lap, I should say. So you can give up a couple of seconds and make sure that you still cycle out back in front of that 93 car. But it just really depends now is how early does that 93 come in. I think he's going to be the first of our lead lap drivers to make that call, as he's starting to kind of fall into the clutches of that number 10 of Skylar Brown, who again, Skylar is on slightly newer tires than Kevin, but not too far back. Larry Yingling, Chad Wilkes, they're starting to creep their way into that mix as well. So it's about to be another nice battle for that second position, as we got 2nd through 5th all within about 4 to 5 seconds of one another.
Absolutely, and if I'm Kevin Brown, I'm pitting early because I've got to put pressure on Ryan Kelly. I've got to hope that he doesn't see it and that he thinks to stay out for a few laps and catch him by surprise, where he can build like a 3 or 4 second gap before Ryan tries to start mowing him back down. With just a few elapses we're going to have remaining, under 30 to go here, about 26 laps remaining here, going to have to really start looking at that, right? Kevin Brown, his only chance for a win, I think, is to be pitting in the next lap or two. If he doesn't pit in the next lap or two. Is he coming down? There we go.
Road. Now, it was an aggressive pit entry. I'm a little nervous if he got that thing down to speed in time or not, so we'll have to watch and see how the pit stop goes. But yeah, this is Kevin pitting at lap number 64. So I'll say, I mean, he definitely stretched the second stint a little longer. As you see, he's going to service now in that car. So far, no reactions to the drivers on track as of yet. I was curious to see if Skylar Brown, if he reacts to it or not. And actually, yep, here he comes. Skylar Brown is hitting pit road in that number 10 car. So that's going to be 3rd place. Again, you see Skylar really have to hustle that thing down. I think did a good job getting the speed. And the 93 car is down in a way. So clean pit stop for Kevin. So now, like you said, now we'll have to see when does that force the reaction of that number 13 of Ryan Kelly.
Absolutely. And I'm still questioning whether that 93 did get away with his pit entry or not. When I watched it back on the replay there, it looked very, very aggressive, very quick. So we'll have to see what comes of that. But if he didn't get busted for speeding, then he had probably the best entrance anybody's going to get on pit road tonight, which could be just enough to give him some track position if Ryan stays out a few more laps. Yeah, and Larry Yingling, he's wasting no time as well. He hits pit road here. So he went the longest of all last time. This time he's going to come in a little earlier, the 3rd of our front runners to do so. So I think he felt like that long pit stop strategy didn't pan out for him. So I think at this point, Ryan Kelly, I think like you said, I feel like now is the time for Ryan Kelly to react, because he's got a couple of laps over since the 93 car pitted.
So I think now is about the time to make that last pit stop happen. So, and that's 93 car. He is back out on track. It looks like It looks like everything went smooth for him. So like you said, a really good aggressive pit entry. So right now, Kevin, I think he's going to be making qualifying laps in that 93 car to see if he can close that gap and maybe get some track position over Ryan Kelly. And I think just from what I'm looking at here, I think we're going to see Ryan Kelly in this time.
Absolutely.
And I'm wrong.
And I went back while you were talking there, and I went back and watched that pit entry of Kevin Brown. And at the yellow line, he was doing about 67, but when he got it to the speed line, he was about 53. So all he had to do was back it down a little bit in that first time segment, down to 47, 46, and then bring it back up to 50, and he was going to be just fine. So I think he just absolutely maximized his pit road entrance. So beautiful, beautiful job by Kevin Brown to truly get down to pit road as quick as possible. And with that first pit stall, he should have been able to exit perfectly. So now we just got to see if Ryan stays out a little longer.
Yeah,
Ryan's in.
Just hit pit road.
So now we're going to have to see how this shakes out. It's not going to show right now, but if Kevin's been out enough, maybe he can make up some time. But if Ryan comes out with any sort of gap as the leader, unless a caution comes out, Ryan Kelly's going to have this race in the bag. I think he pitted soon enough that he should be able to keep and maintain at least a 4-second gap like he had and just start pulling away from there.
Yes, and that's going to be the question, is the aggressive pit entry by the 93 car and, of course, the couple laps of fresher tires, will that be enough for him to cycle around the number 13 car here as he's just hitting pit road exit now? As you see Ryan Kelly, where is Kevin Brown in that 93 car? Here he comes. It is going to be tight, Maxwell. I think Kevin might just get him at the exit of 2 while Ryan Kelly's building speed back up, so top on board. And here goes the 93. He's just going to pass the 13 car, but is that going to be enough? Again, we talked about the tire difference. It's going to be about a 5-lap advantage for Ryan Kelly. But, of course, first thing, of course, is catching him and then passing him. So I think if you're Ryan Kelly, like we talked about, I think you got to be aggressive here early. Use those tires maybe just a little bit, get that track position back, and then kind of get back to your rhythm and start setting your pace again.
Absolutely, but I really don't think there's as big a difference between the pit stops as there was the first round. The 93 had about 7-8 laps on his tires before Ryan pitted. This time it wasn't as much. So now I'm starting to question, maybe the 93 has enough pace that he can slow up the 13 of Ryan Kelly. Maybe do like they did in that group earlier. As long as he keeps it high side, he may be able to keep Ryan pinched down. Maybe make him use up his tires a little bit and keep him behind. But there is still 29 laps left to go. So
yeah, a lot of time left. And right now we got a couple drivers stretching it out right now. First of which is Todd Kirkwood. He is now our race leader. So he's getting a couple laps let in and saying, I think, again, trying to go for an opposite strategy here because you never know if and when these cautions could fall. So Todd's going to stretch this run out, it looks like. And then the other Todd Merkel in that number 2 car, he is in second place. Same situation for him. Hasn't made his final stop yet, but is running currently in second. And then a few other drivers yet to make their final stops are the 81 of Jason Swan in the 6th position currently. And then the 92 of Chris Matthews in the number 92 in 8th position. Those drivers yet to make their final pit stops, and I believe the last of those yet to make their stop is the 88 of Michael Spell. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it's all going to pan out, but we got to jump back to this battle, though, because you can see Ryan Kelly is getting closer. It's about 0.3 of a second here, so we're going to watch this battle here for eventually what will likely become for the race lead.
Absolutely, and it looks like the 13 has so much momentum right now compared to the 93. He's probably going to make this pass easy. I was just trying to be hopeful for Kevin here, but it really looks like Ryan Kelly's got that car wound up, and he's already down to the inside here in turns 1 and 2. It's not going to shock me if he's not cleared by the exit.
He is squeezing him. Kevin did not want to run the wall. He decided, you know what, I'm not going to run the wall. I'm going to squeeze you there through 1 and 2. So Ryan Kelly hasn't completed the pass yet, and now they're going to have to try to fight around Todd Merkel while they have the same battle for position. And now Ryan Kelly clears that 93 car. So we'll see if he's able to set sail like he did before, or maybe Kevin's going to maybe try to make a big move and see if he can kind of throw Ryan off his game a little bit. Because like I said, though, but with those 5-lap difference in tires, I think for Ryan Kelly, he just needs to give himself a little bit of breathing room, and then I think he'll be able to then kind of feel comfortable the rest of the way here.
Absolutely, and honestly, I think this is Ryan Kelly's race to lose yet again. I feel like we've said that every race this season, right? We've seen Ryan running so well so many times, but the first 2 races, fuel mileage bit him, right? I really think this 13 is the one to watch this season. This really should be 2 wins on the season and going for a third is what it should be. It should be a complete season dominance right now out of the 13. But fuel mileage affected him the first 2 races. But I think the only thing that can really trip up this 13 is going to be lapped traffic. They're probably going to be a lot nicer to that 93 than they are the 13. So that's going to be one thing to watch. But we know in Area 51, a lot of these lap guys try their very best to get out of the way of the race leader. But heavy traffic for the 13 right now. We're going to have to see how he manages that.
Yeah, I say there's a lot of cars right now. You see James Ledford gave plenty of room there. So now he's got to work over Alberto Lopez in the 20. And then it looks like the 00 of Don Rickle Jr. will be the next on the list. But again, when we talk about Ryan, that car, he's able to really make it work so easily compared to what it looks like for the rest of these guys. And so he is able to complete the pass on Alberto. Leaves just the one car left to make that pass on. And while he's been doing this, I mean, he's still actually been stretching his gap out over that 93 car of Kevin DeBrown. So I'll say right now everything looking very good for Ryan. So basically, if you're that 13 car right now, you want this thing to just go green, no drama, just let's get this thing to the end. However, it's going to be a very long 24 more laps for Ryan Kelly. So he'll feel maybe a little comfortable once he gets that white flag. But yeah, I mean, I think right now he just wants this thing to stay clean and green to the end.
Absolutely. And as the race has run so far, I don't see why we wouldn't have green flag action all the way to the end. But I've been surprised before. So caution could easily come out. Some people could get into each other. We got Kevin Hash sitting here saying there was going to be another caution. I'm not going to lie, as much as I like to aggravate him, I'm kind of hoping we prove him wrong just so I can mess with him about it later. But, you know, anything can happen here, and this setup is still loose. It wouldn't take but just one person getting a little bit tail happy off one of these corners and looping it around to bring us out of yellow. But it's looking very unlikely at this moment. I think what Kevin Brown needs to focus on right now is he's only got 1 lap, I think, difference between him and Skyler. I think he just needs to focus on managing his gap to third and making sure he protects that second place position and gets him a good points day out of this. No reason to start losing spots toward the end of this race. But something else to focus on, we only have 5 cars on the lead lap, Gael. This loose setup has really separated a lot of people and shown who's fast and who's struggling. And I mean, 6th place, James Ledford running great, but first car 1 lap down right now. So a lot of different strategies going on, Gael. And, you know, last car on the lead lap, when did you think you'd ever hear Chad Wilkes being the last car on the lead lap?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I say that. I mean, and that's the thing with Atlanta. I mean, it's just such a punishing track where if you get it right, you are going to set sail. And say if you're just a little off, it just kind of just exponentiates it. So it makes it that much more aggressive, or it feels like you're way off. And so, yeah, I mean, right now, that's what we're looking at, I think, right now is, I mean, when you look at the top 5, I mean, these are some of the kind of the cream of the crop drivers that we kind of expect to see week in, week out, and they're kind of showing exactly that right now. And then, of course, there's a few other drivers that should be up there and probably would be up there if not for a couple of mistakes here and there. Or, again, with this going caution-free, starting towards the back, thinking, all right, you know what? I'm going to start towards the back, let the chaos happen, and then work my way forward. And we haven't had that today, so they haven't had the opportunity to take advantage of that potential. So, and that's one of the things. It's a risk versus reward. You think, okay, I'm going to start in the back. It's going to be nice and safe, and then I can work my way up after maybe a caution or two. But when you don't get that caution, it's a whole different ball game. So I say right now, these guys are showing you might have to consider qualifying and qualify up front if you want to have a chance at these races.
Absolutely. More and more of these races keep going green flag, and Kevin Brown did not listen to the advice of managing the gap, managing those tires. He's under fire right now from Skylar Brown for second. Skylar Brown's going to make it look like an easy pass going off into 1. So yet another spot lost for Kevin Brown. And if he's not too careful, only 2.5 seconds back is that 67 of Larry Yingling. And we know that he likes to finish on the podium because he loves his interviews with you, Gael. Have you ever noticed that? He loves interviews with you, bud.
Yeah, I say Larry's, I think, one of the most talkative, energetic people that we know. So it's been everything I've had to fight from keeping him in the booth with some other races. So, say Larry, if he's going to find an opportunity to talk to us, he's gonna make it happen. So, it's gonna be interesting this battle for second right now with Skylar and Kevin. Like you said, it's only a lap difference between them on tires. So say you wondered, has Kevin used his stuff up too much and they've fallen off, or maybe is Skylar kind of doing maybe like kind of that opening run where he really hustles that car early. And then maybe that's where the 93 starts kind of reeling back in on these final about 18 laps here. So it's going to be very interesting to see what's going to be that short run versus long run pace between these two. Like I said, Larry's just going to be creeping in that background because last time by he was about 2 tenths quicker than Skylar. and actually 5/10 quicker than Kevin, 4/10 this last time by. So, like you said, that gap is just slowly but surely shrinking down to just under 2 seconds.
I think Kevin has just used up his tires too early. He knew he was in that battle with Ryan Kelly. He knew he was trying to hold him off, and he really didn't catch lap traffic the way he needed to at the start of this last run. So I'm afraid Kevin has just worn out his stuff early trying to go on offense, or defense, I should say, and be protective. But now it's really hurting him as this race goes green. His best friend right now would be a caution to get some fresh tires, maybe gain a spot on pit road and be able to battle for a win. But at the rate this is going right now, I'm pretty sure Larry Yingling is going to run right up to him and try to get into third place because, he's got sponsors to take care of. Larry does. And we got, Kevin Hash here watching right now. And, he's going to be pretty mad if his driver doesn't get to promote his sponsorship that's on the hood of that car, right?
That's exactly right. I say, Kevin Hash, he's got a business to run, and I say Larry's got to hold his end of the bargaining chip there too. But we almost did have a big moment there. Alberto Lopez got extremely loose there entering turn number 1. Somehow was able to hold on to it, gather it back up, and so he's able to keep that thing pointing the right direction. But you can tell those rear tires, I think, are just about giving up the ghost for him. But again, he's still got 15 to go to try to keep those tires underneath him. So. And that's the thing is, again, you don't know who has what left on their car, how much they've been maybe burning their tires off. So I say that's the thing is you don't know. It could be someone that's up in the top 5. It could be somebody in the bottom 5. That's why these races you never know how they're going to end up. So that's why I was saying Ryan Kelly. These are stressful times for him. I say it's going to feel like it's probably about the longest 25 laps that he's had. Now down to about the longest 14 laps he's going to have in this season for him.
Absolutely, but as long as he doesn't have a caution, he's sitting with a 9.1 second lead over second. I don't see anybody at this point in the run trying to even make up probably even a second or two on Ryan, much less 9. So as long as he just keeps it smooth, he's got the perfect spot to take care of his tires, take care of that right rear, and maybe with 10 to go, just start letting them have it and just start laying some flyers down, man. So much pace that 13 car has had all season long. And like we said earlier, first 2 races, he had them. And fuel mileage bit him both times, right? And the 67 stole both of them. But all 3 races counting today, he has shown speed and shown immense speed. I'm talking pulling seconds away from these guys. Ryan Kelly is showing that he's going to be an extreme contender for this championship to go up against Kevin Brown, Larry Yingling, and our defending champion, Chad Wilkes. It's going to be a heck of a battle going into this season. And it's hard to think that after this race, we're already a fourth of the way through.
Yeah, exactly right. It's kind of crazy that we've gone this far already throughout the season. And so you're definitely right there about the pace. So you see Skylar Brown, he's been able to stretch it about 2 seconds over Kevin. So that's going to bring Larry, you're going to say he's only a quarter of a second behind. Let's say for Larry, he can see him. Now for Larry's just finding a way to get around that 93 car. So we saw it didn't take much for Skylar to get that spot. So we'll see if Larry's able to kind of get the same benefit of the doubt here. You see a huge run off of 4. He's just going to send it here into turn number 1. And I think as long as he can keep this car under control here, he'll easily be able to clear him off too.
Yeah, I think just Kevin, he did what he needed to do. Just the way the race played out did not go in his favor. As they're still side by side on the backstretch, Larry's going to easily take this into turn 3 probably. I don't know. He's got a little bit of a wiggle there, a little bit of a slide. This may be a battle for just a moment. But the 93 has just – he had to – when he put himself in that box when he pitted early on that first run. If he'd have waited just a few more laps, his tires could be in a whole different ballgame. But because of that first pit stop, him making it so early, this is kind of the trade-off for it. So Larry Yingling does end up making that pass off too, putting himself into a podium finish there in P3. So as this race shakes out, I don't see Chad Wilkes running 10 seconds down here with just 8 laps coming to go. But maybe Kevin can equalize tires with Larry and try to make another run at him last minute, but I highly doubt it. I think we're almost seeing the finishing order here unless we have a caution.
Yes, and actually I'm looking at that from the back of Larry Yingling's car. There's a little bit of right side damage to that 93 car. Maybe flirted a little bit too much with that outside wall at one point in the race. So I'd say that definitely probably is hurting the overall top end speed of that 93 car, maybe even the handling a little bit. But I say while we're going over that, we're down to single digits left in this one. I say 9 laps to go for Ryan Kelly, 8 to go now as he crosses the line. And like you're saying, he just needs this thing to stay green because you can say, he is just racked up a huge lead right now, about 11.5 seconds over Skylar Brown. So now for Larry, does he have enough pace now that he's gotten around the 93? Does he have a chance to try to grab that second spot from Skylar? Right now, again, it's about a 3-second gap, so that's going to be a tough sledding for Larry to be able to do with only the 8 laps to go.
I think Yingling can get to within a half second of him, but I don't know that he's going to have enough pace on Skylar Brown this late in the run. You know, this is about the time those tires really equalize out. I'm not saying they all run the same, but you just lose that big advantage that you initially had. So I'm sure at this point, this is about where everybody's going to finish unless we have a caution. Now, I'm not saying Larry can't get to him, but even getting to him, we saw how many laps it took for Larry to get by Kevin Brown. It took almost 2 laps for him just to get by him. We've only got, 6 laps left here in the race. So by the time Larry gets to Skylar, it'd take another 2 or 3 laps probably to make that pass, and I just don't think he's got quite enough time here. But that 10 car is encountering some lap traffic, so we'll have to see how that affects him.
Yes, I've been watching lap times. Larry's been about 2 or so tenths faster a lap. This last time by only about a tenth faster, so I think Skylar, some adjustment he's made through the beginning to now, he's definitely found some long run pace in that car. Because, I mean, right now he's actually running pretty comparable laps with Ryan Kelly, but I think, again, Ryan Kelly probably really on cruise control mode here. As he just crossed with 5 to go. He's got not much drama in front of him. He's just got the 7 car of Dale Willoughby, and then he's just got nothing but clean air behind him for a couple of seconds with the 40 to James Ledford. So I think for Ryan Kelly here, he's just going to make sure he manages his stuff here, gets this thing to the end clean. Like I said, for him, the first thing he wants to see that white flag, because I think once he sees that, there's going to be a huge sense of relief off his shoulders to get through that final lap.
Absolutely. And as we start wrapping this race up, I want to give up a couple notable shout-outs. You know, I've raced with these guys for 3 or 4 seasons now, and, you know, getting to know these guys as personal friends and colleagues. It's nice to see some new names up here in the top 10 that we normally may not see every week. James Ledford running 6th here, right? Still running strong. Gabe Butler up in the 8th position. We know him from Super Speedway Series, but for the Premier Series, not normally one of our front runners. Nice to see him up there. You know, Todd Kirkwood having a strong run in that 99 car in 9th. It's just nice to see some of these guys have some new faces up here in the top of the leaderboard for a race that went completely green, which means they had the strategy right and they had some pace as well.
Yeah, exactly right. And that spot right there, that moves Todd Kirkwood up into the 8th position now. And that's plus 11 for him, completely under green flag racing. So great job by Todd in that 99 car. And it's like the other driver right now, the second highest climber, Jack Walls, in the number 83 car. We always talk about Jack being really good about the long run pace in that 83 car, and he's showing that again tonight. He's been able to really stretch the tires out and be able to run some really good pace. As I say, we're going to jump back up front, though, for Ryan Kelly because he's got just 2 laps to go here at Atlanta. Like I said, he's just wants to get through this half a lap here with no drama for anybody else, and then from there he'll probably tell those guys, okay, from now on you guys do whatever you want. I just need to see that white flag.
Absolutely, and give him credit. Right from the drop of the green, he took it easy. He let those guys battle it out. He passed them on track, not in pit road, and as he's coming to the white, he has ran just a beautiful race as far as strategy, as far as tire management, as far as controlling the pace. And I mean, each lap, even on this long run, he just keeps extending it. You know, I'm sure the timing and scoring is going to update here in just a second, but with 2 coming to the white flag, he had a 13.5 second gap here. Now it's 13.7. I mean, he's still gaining time all the way to the checkers. He could coast it from here. So don't want to be too premature, but after watching him lose the first 2 races, congrats to Ryan Kelly on a win here tonight at Atlanta in Area 51 competition in the Premier Series.
Yeah, that's going to be a very happy Ryan Kelly that we're going to be able to talk to here soon. And then coming home in second place is going to be that number 10 of Skylar Brown. He's going to hold off Larry Yingling, actually stretching the gap out there at the end. So Skylar going to grab second position. Larry Yingling, he's going to bring it home in third. Fourth place is going to go to that 93 of Kevin DeBrown. And then rounding out our top 5 and rounding out our lead lap drivers, like you'd mentioned, Maxwell, is going to be that 17 of Chad Wilkes. Again, just the pace these guys ran through tonight was just unreal.
Absolutely, and I cannot believe we went 100 laps caution-free at Atlanta with a setup that was just hanging the rear end out most of the time. What a testament to these guys, and what a testament to Dale Knott, our new Premier Series admin, for just creating setups that are better to drive as far as from the driver's point of view, where you can actually control the car without just worrying about the right front, where you can actually get loose and drift and slide a little bit, but also for these guys just for racing and just being courteous of each other and knowing their limitations. This is setting us up now to have such a great run in this series, to really start loosening these setups up and just showing who the cream of the crop really is, and not just the aerodynamics of the car. If the racing is anything like it was tonight, I can't wait to see what the rest of this season looks like, Gail.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And you see Ryan Kelly, I think he's just running an extra lap here, just really wants to let this one soak in. Like you said, I mean, he's been the car to beat these last 2 races. Like I said, just a fuel mileage just kind of let him down, unfortunately. But so he was able to get it done tonight here, and say in dominant fashion as well. Like you said, 14-second gap over second place, as he's going to bring it here to the start-finish line. I think we're going to see some celebrations out of that 13.
Absolutely, and some well-deserved celebrations. He's had 2 straight weeks of just heartache after heartache, right? Having the dominant car, having the fastest car, yet not going to victory lane because of fuel mileage of all things. What a way to lose them, right? It's fuel mileage. Yeah, you love winning them that way, but you hate losing the fuel mileage when you know you got the best car. But tonight, we can truly say the best car did win as far as outright speed, strategy, tires, you name it. This guy is just a beast at Atlanta. He's a teammate of mine, and we've ran here so many times, and just he has a way around this track, man. This is just one of his favorite tracks to come to. He's got a lot of pace here. He's got great tire save here, and I think this loose setup just fit right into his hands on that tire saving.
Yeah, so he definitely a well-earned one. As you see, he's going to continue the celebration. I think he's going to run this thing until that motor pops, most likely. So let's say, before we switch away, though, we got to go ahead and start grabbing some drivers here. And we got to start things off with that number 67 of Larry Yingling. So we're going to pull Larry on in over here. Larry started in the 3rd position, finishes in the 3rd position, but just, man, what a race tonight, Larry. Obviously caution free there. Probably not what a lot of people expected through the practice sessions, and just knowing how difficult and kind of loose the setup was, but everybody did a really good job throughout the race. But just take us through the race, and obviously a couple different pit strategies throughout there. You guys are all kind of stuck that top 5 or so, just an awesome battle between all of you. And then at some point you see Ryan Kelly just kind of creeps into the picture, passes all of you, and then just rides off into the distance there. But then you had me looking at the fuel numbers again, though, Larry. We saw you going further. I started, okay, let's hop on board, let's listen in, and he started clutching it again. I was like, no, he can't make 51, can he? Because we joked during the practice that was the number you're going to be aiming for. Take us through the strategy, and what if you could have done anything different, what would it have been through tonight?
I had a blast tonight. From the get-go, I saw Ryan saving his tires a lot behind all of us, and I had a very strong feeling that if it stayed caution-free, he definitely had that in the bag just from that, and he definitely easily passed us. It was just a blast, just drifting every corner, and I almost wrecked Kevin and I was just drifting up in front of him, and luckily he backed off a little. And yeah, I'm just very glad during the off season when we switched cars, we didn't switch to next gen cars, because that would have been full throttle everywhere, and the racing would have been horrible. But it's just extremely fun to drive a nice loose car and set and feel like you can make a difference.
Yeah, no, definitely, like you said, and that was really what it was tonight. It looked like like you said, there's definitely some looseness with the setup, but it seemed like you could you had the option of how you wanted to drive the car, if you really wanted to hang it off the right rear, or if you wanted to try to burn the right front up a little bit more, possibly just depending on how aggressive you enter the corner. Of course, your throttle aggression as well. Maxwell, of course, mentioning, pretty much the driver probably will be the most successful, is going to be the one to kind of manage that right side. Just kind of even out the wear for that. Was that something that you were watching, was to try to keep the wear even between the right front and the right rear, or how was your strategy for trying to keep those tires, especially the right sides, underneath you throughout the run?
Yes, somewhat. I knew, like I said, with Ryan's strategy, saving his tires, I knew if no one else does what he's doing, then it's basically a race for second. And I had the option to do the same thing as him, so it was my fault. But I was just having a blast. I knew I was drifting and killing my right rear tire, but I knew when I pit, I had like 25% tire remaining on the right rear and on his left. And right before I pitted the first time and stayed out before longer than anyone else, I knew you would go on board with me. So I was just starting to clutch and laughing because I knew you guys would think for a second I might, but I knew I just could not make it in one stop, sadly.
Yeah, you definitely had us there. We were on board, we were listening, and we heard it clutching. It's like, oh no, not again. There's no way, can he? And yeah, so no, you definitely job well done there. And I mean, I think that kind of shows just how much fun you were having while in the middle of a race to think about doing something like that, just to kind of put us on our toes as well. So just an awesome job, Larry. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, you guys put on a great fight there. I mean, like I said, initially the top 5-6 of you guys were having it out for that fight, and then say once Ryan snuck away, still, I mean, you, Skylar, Kevin, Chad, and Dale, I mean, you guys are having a great battle as well. So just a lot of fun from my side watching that one, and then so yeah, definitely want to pass it over to Maxwell's. I'm sure he's going to have some other questions for you here as well.
Absolutely. First things first, though, I cannot give Larry any satisfaction. Gael, we both know when he started clutching that I already called out that I really didn't think he could go that far on fuel. I knew that he was banking on a caution or something. But speaking of that, Larry, my question for you is that first pit stop. I know the way the league has been running here the past couple seasons, where me and you, we really like to run that run almost till the fuel tank's empty before we pit, trying to think we'll have an advantage on tires. But here lately, we've seen the advantage be to the person that pits first, right, as these races go green. So knowing the looseness, knowing the track you're at, why did you want to stay out those extra few laps on that first run and give Ryan Kelly that many laps to truly just lay down some flyers? I was real curious about that in the race, and I'm still curious about it now, of just what your thought process was as your strategy going into the rest of the race.
Well, most of the time, Ryan always pits right before all of us. And I forget how big of a lead he had, but he had at least a lap or two buffer to everyone else. So I knew if I even had a slim chance of getting to him, I needed to have fresher tires in him throughout the race. And I know the second pit stop, I think the first one's a pit. So I was just all over the place, not knowing what to do, but I was just having a blast driving.
Absolutely. Well, Larry, great run. Didn't know if you were going to get that podium finish tonight or not, but in that last run, you passed the guys you needed to get right there into P3. Great finish. And Gael, I guess it's time to give him a chance to thank the multiple sponsors he has on that car, because we know Kevin Hash was watching you tonight. So we'll go ahead and give you the floor here and let you give some shout outs, buddy.
Thank you. Well, first I want to shout out Skylar. He drove a great race. Not really surprised at that at all. And then I saw in the last run, I could be wrong, but I believe Kevin kind of got put in the wall by a lapper. And I think I gave him some damage, and that slowed him down some. But shout out my teammates this race, Ryan Kelly. Great win as always. And shout out Wilkes. And my multiple sponsors, Hash Bars Performance. If you need any work done on your Ellis engine or GM vehicle, contact them on Facebook, see what they can do for you. And Muffin Sports Cards. If you're into sports car collecting or want to get into it and don't know where to start, follow Muffin Sports Cards on Instagram. He's always want to get people closer to the hobby and can help you find stuff regardless of league, NASCAR, NFL, NBA, you name it. And so don't be afraid to ask him for help. And my third sponsor, Fort Worth Screen Printing. If you would like t-shirts, jackets, bags, hats, shorts, among other stuff with custom artwork printed on them, check them out on fwscreen.com. Shout you guys out as always. It's going to be fun watching the broadcast. Ryan Kelly all by himself the whole race. But next week, I believe it's Pocono. And I think all the races have been done there in tight sets. So I'm looking forward to hopefully a nice loose set. And maybe we get to shift some with these cars.
Yeah, that could be actually really interesting. Like he says, yeah, Pocono is always kind of its own little animal. So that's going to be a lot of fun to see how that one's going to be. For all of you guys next week. So yeah, just awesome job, Larry. So I enjoyed that one. And yeah, look forward to catching you again next week, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Maxwell. Now we got to jump over to the number 10 of Skylar Brown. We're going to go ahead and pull him on in here in just a moment. So let's go back so we can make sure we get some plenty of TV time on that car. And it's going to be another one of those things. We joked about the 13 of Ryan Kelly. Need to get some sponsorship on that car. Looks like Skylar's going to need to do the same. He's got a nice bright yellow 10 car that was running up front a good chunk of the race tonight. And I mean, let's say it definitely looked like you found something towards the later half of the race. That first run maybe burned your stuff up a little too much early. It still did an awesome job of kind of fighting off the guys behind you. Obviously, we saw Ryan Kelly. He found a way to sneak by, but then everybody else, it was tough sledding for them to find a way around that top line that you were running just near perfect at the end. I mean, take us through the race, and what adjustments did you make throughout the runs to kind of help you out to kind of keep the tires and the car under you throughout the full run here?
Yeah, it was first off, good job to Ryan Kelly. He did a hell of a job. Definitely, lapped up to sixth. But yeah, I mean, there at the beginning, I got the jump on Kevin, I believe it was, and just tried to set pace up top, and it was tricky. Once they got closer and closer, you had to kind of stay disciplined and not do too much with the throttle, because it's really tricky. I mean, it was a good race. Had a bottom lane, a top lane, and I didn't know much about the top lane until like later on in practice, because I ran some laps earlier in the week, but it was on the bottom, and then I seen Ryan or somebody ripped off a crazy lap, and I looked at it, and I'm like, he ran the top. So I started running the top, but I didn't know what to do as far as saving tires up there, and that's one thing I got to get better at with these. I'm more of a dirt guy, so my eyes kind of lit up when I seen the setup was loose. But it just trying to keep the tires under you is the main thing. You can run fast laps all you want, but in these cars, especially at Atlanta and some of the tracks we've been at, you got to be able to manage your stuff, and that's something I got to get better at. But yeah, the later half in the race, I was trying to run the bottom because I used up my quick repair, and I just wanted to kind of take the safer line. But then with about 25-30 to go, I was like, screw it, let's just go up there and get back up there and see if we can I believe it was Kevin, and it worked out.
Yeah, so, and I mean that's actually a good kind of a good thing to point to make there is like I said, with you kind of having the dirt preference of what you're more comfortable with running. So obviously not at all comparable to what you're doing tonight, but I'm sure there's that little bit of enjoyment where you kind of can get back up by the wall, say almost running the cushion, if you will. Was that something that you were able to notice? I know with some of the new builds, let's say you almost can sometimes feel a pocket of air if you run that top line. Was that something you could notice at all when you're running that line, or was it still just kind of just? And the other part of that is just how difficult is it to kind of just commit yourself to run that line, and of course to try to stay off that outside wall, because of course it's always waiting there trying to bite you if it can.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know much about pocket of air. It's just trying to keep your throttle control down, and it's really your entry point. If you don't enter good, you're gonna hit the wall. You got to kind of slide, like kind of go up to it, and then slowly get back in the gas, and then it gets harder and harder as the run goes on. But yeah, with the dirt background, I feel like Kyle Larson up there. It was a lot of fun, and I was glad we were able to do that. The setup, I mean, it was, I wasn't sure about it, because it was a little loose. So I thought there'd be a lot of cautions. We had no cautions, so good job to everybody on that. It really surprised me. Made for a good race, and yeah.
Yeah, it was like you said, it was a great race. You guys were definitely making a really good show of it. Like I said, everybody running different grooves at different times in the race. It was just a lot of fun to watch you guys battle it out there. So I got to pass it over to Maxwell here. Say, let him pick your brain a little bit as well. Just awesome job tonight, though, Skylar.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, Skylar. So after racing with you kind of off and on a little bit over the past couple seasons, kind of you've been in and out a little bit, always seen great short run speed out of you, but never really seen long run pace until tonight. We really saw some great long run pace from you, but we just didn't see it that first run. So I guess my question is one of those hindsight 2020 kind of questions. I just want to ask if there's one thing in the race, maybe even particularly in that first run, that you could go back, that you could change. What is something you would do different to maybe give yourself a better shot to be right there with Ryan Kelly at the end? Because you finished second, but you were 14 seconds back. So what could you have done maybe a little bit different to have maybe closed that gap down a little bit, maybe even had some fresher tires there to go after him at the end?
Uh, I think at the beginning there, I was kind of paying attention too much to the guys behind me, and I noticed Chad Wilkes was starting to run that bottom, and he was kind of meeting me on the X of the corners, and I was probably giving a little bit too much throttle to clear him, and I was dirt tracking it up there a few times sideways, and I noticed my right rear had a lot of wear on it on my first. I think I was down to like 45% or something when I came in. So that's probably something I could have done. Maybe just patience. I gotta practice patience. I'm used to running dirt. We run 30 laps, and you're just balls to the wall the whole time. Where this, I mean, I've had iRacing for 10, 11 years, so I have experience on pavement. It's just getting back to that mindset of being patient and being smooth on the throttle and trying to bide your time and not worry so much at the beginning of what's going on. Just try to make it to the end. And, you at 10 laps in, you got to think about where you're going to be 30 laps later, as far as tires go. So that's something I got to get better at, but I'm slowly chipping away. I really want to get a win, but I'll take the podium and getting to talk to you guys.
Absolutely, and I think a win's not really that far from you, my friend, after the performance you had tonight. Really good to see that you struggled early, but the next two runs where you really picked it back up, and without cautions to help you, you were able to pick up those positions. Because I think you got in the wall a little bit there right before that first pit stop that made you lose a few spots. So awesome recovery, awesome race. If Gael doesn't care, I guess I'm going to give you the floor to just kind of give some shout outs and things you'd like to give here for this awesome finish tonight, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to everybody here at the league, everybody that runs it, everybody that's a part of it. It's a really good league. It's fun to run. There's been only a handful of cautions out of all the races I've ran, and that's just awesome. You don't see that a whole lot. So yeah, hats off to everybody that does this. My dad for getting me into this and let me know about it. He doesn't like that I whip up on him, but he's just getting old, so that's just part of it. But other than that, I like to give a shout out to all my guys. I'm on Brent Marks racing sim team. He's an outlaw sprint car driver, and that's pretty much. I'm trying to get a paint with that on it, but I'm just running the bright yellow, so I stick out for now. But all the guys on that team and all you guys too.
So we've got some really good painters over here. So I say definitely put that out there if you have some ideas, sponsorships, and all that you want to throw in that car. I say I'm sure someone can make that happen for you. But you say you're not wrong though. Say the bright yellow car definitely does stand out well. You might have a little bit of a fight with Jack Wallace. Let's say he's used to being one of the few bright yellow cars in there with his 83 machine. But yeah, just awesome job though tonight, Skylar. So you can definitely give your dad a hard time after tonight. Say grabbing that second spot. So. But yeah, just great run, man. So enjoy it, and I'll say look forward to catching you again here soon.
Yeah, thank you guys. I'll be around next week. Hopefully, to be able to do one spot better.
All right, that is our second place finisher, the number 10 of Skylar Brown. That's got to bring us now to our race winner in that number 13 of Ryan Kelly. Let's go ahead and pull him on in here. Let's have a word with our race winner. All right, Ryan. We talked during practice. I told you definitely weren't gonna get a top 3 tonight. You're gonna probably finish last. So we've been picking you at the beginning for these few, other ones, and you've shown the pace. You've shown that you've been in contention. That you probably could have, should have win, if not for maybe the way I shouldn't say the cautions fall, but the way the fuel mileage went on those 2 races. I say tonight you put no question in there tonight. So you found a way to kind of take care of your stuff early. And then once you got those couple cars to get the lead there, I mean, from there you just set sail. But first, I mean, just take us through that initial couple laps, let's say kind of cruising that 5th, 6th position. And then just how did you get around all of those guys? Because we saw them all trying to make those passes, but they just could not do it. And you just made it look easy there.
Yeah, so at the start of the race, I was planning on running the top because I just felt it was a little smoother or safer to say. And then everyone started running up top, so I figured I'd just run the bottom and hopefully would save some tire. And by the time I was ready to go, I just seemed to be a little bit faster than everybody else.
Yeah, I guess that's a pretty polite way of saying that there, because I mean, like I said, I mean you got to the bottom and you passed it by, I think it was about 4 of them. They're all on the inside, and then like I said, once you're able to clear Skylar, I mean, you just started setting sail, and that was pretty much, I mean, that was the tone of the race from then on, was who can get the closest to Ryan Kelly, basically, based on pit strategy. And then, of course, the next part of that is going to be through the 2 pit stop strategy. Did you have any kind of were you second guessing yourself at all about when to make that pit stop? Because we saw you stretch it a little further than the lap 33 mark that we kind of come accustomed to for those 100 lap races. Was that just due to the concern of maybe a potential yellow, or were you also kind of looking at that gap you had to the rest of the guys, knowing like, hey, I can wait a lap or two before I react, just because of the advantage I have?
Yeah, it's definitely both, but more the hoping the caution wouldn't come out, because I know last week I kind of got forced into the pits a little bit, and maybe if I would have stayed out a couple laps longer, I would have been trapped a lap down. So that was definitely running through my mind, but I felt I had a pretty comfortable lead, so I had a little bit of leeway with what I wanted to do.
Yeah, so comfortable lead is definitely something you had. Obviously, you had a few times where you had to work your way back around, but say you were doing that with maybe 5+ lap fresher tires after those first couple of stops. So I would say I'm sure that always feels good too, knowing that you've got the fresher rubber and you're able to just kind of set sail there. But man, like I said, I mean, just an awesome performance time. I mean, I say dominance, honestly, the best way to describe that one, because I mean, you were just on a tear once you got to the front. So just congrats, man. I say, like I said, I feel like this, like Max and I were mentioning, like this probably should be number 3. But I'm sure it's good to get that monkey off your shoulder, though. So yeah, well earned, and definitely want to pass it over here to Maxwell, though, and let him have a chance to have a chat with you as well.
Thank you.
The first thoughts is congrats, Ryan. You talk about how much you love this track. You went out there and you won. And after the past 2 races where you have pretty well been the car to beat, and you've been beat in probably the worst way possible on fuel mileage of all things, I got to ask a very simple question for you, my friend. How good does it feel to finally close this season and get the first win of the season? Even though you should have probably been 3 for 3 right now, but how good does it feel to get the monkey off your back and to now take this momentum and probably go into these next few weeks and really start putting a whooping on these guys?
I mean, anything can happen, so you never know. And there's a bunch of good drivers in the league. I mean, Skyler's finishing second tonight. I know he's got a win coming, and Larry and Kevin and Chad, all the big guys. So I think anybody can win any week, and hopefully I could keep the streak going. And it feels good to finally win, especially at a track that I really like and have done it before. So it feels good.
Absolutely. Well, man, awesome win, awesome performance. You went out there, you played the tire game right, you set fast laps down when you needed to, you let the other guys duke it out amongst themselves that first run to get through to them, get past everybody on track, and you got that race win. So congrats on that. And I'm just gonna give you the chance to give some shout outs, man, for this win. Who you want to thank and who helped you get here, my friend?
Yeah, just all my teammates this race, Larry and Kevin. Larry and Chad. Good race, Kevin. And then also my mom was watching the race, my grandparents. So thanks to them. They're the best. And thanks to everybody in the league, and you guys agree my checkered.
I'll say definitely gonna be enjoying watching you get that win tonight, Ryan. So it's always fun to have the family be able to be a part of that as well. So yeah, definitely enjoy this one. Like I said, well earned, and I say just like I said, kind of not a long time coming, but it definitely was one that felt like it was overdue. So yeah, enjoy this one, Ryan. Look forward to catching you up front here the rest of the season.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, Maxwell. With that, we got to go over our final results of tonight's event. And see, pull that on up here. So you see Ryan Kelly getting the win, 14 seconds over Skylar Brown, just showing how dominant he was this evening. Larry England grabbing that 3rd spot, just 3 seconds behind Skylar. Kevin DeBrown there in 4th. Chad Wilkes rounding out our top 5, and the lead lap finishers again, just showing the pace these guys had this evening. And then so you see from 6 on back drivers, a lap down, but still great results though for some of these guys. I mean, it's hard to knock a top 10 even if you are down a lap. With you got James Ledford there, Jack Walls, Todd Kirkwood, Gabe Butler, Todd Merkel, all earning top 10 finishes. And 11th through 18th, you've got Mark Brown, Eric Laurie, Alberto Lopez, Chris Matthews, Jason Swan, Dale Willoughby, Michael Spell, and Don Runkle Jr. And then I'll say, unfortunately for Dale Knott, say just that pit mistake has really come back to haunt him. I'll say was never able to recover, unfortunately, with it going caution free. And unfortunately, early retirement for Jamie Knott there. Will finish in the 20th position. However, man, just What a race! I mean, again, caution free to say we all kind of were a little skeptical. It's like, all right, this might be a little bit rougher until the guys kind of wrap their heads around it. But I mean, once it came race time, everybody just, I think, put their kind of focus forward, and everybody just did a great job tonight and just put on a really good show.
Absolutely. I'm thoroughly impressed with the car control that everybody showed tonight. Just to be transparent, coming into this season, a lot of people were worried about these setups getting looser, that, some people may not be able to handle it. And we'd go back to having some caution filled races. And honestly, I think these setups, the way they've been changing, have made the racing better. I think it's made it cleaner. And tonight was a perfect example of how much fun these guys can have. Every interview we did, notice that all the drivers talked about how much fun they had wheeling these cars, whipping the back end out, dirt tracking it, right? That's what we love to do as a race car driver. There's no greater feeling than letting that back end hang out a little bit, but still being in control, right? Loose is fast, so we love that. What better place to be loose than here at Atlanta? And hopefully, as we go on into some short tracks, into the big tricky triangle next week at Pocono, hopefully we can see some of that. Some guys getting loose off 3 and maybe out of the tunnel turn, just kind of showing some just big aggression and showing some awesome moves, and hopefully that sets up to be a fantastic race there. But notice with these setups, the way they are, the cream really rises to the top. If you look at our top 5 there, right? We had all kinds of contenders: Ryan Kelly, Skylar Brown, Larry Yingling, Kevin Brown, Chad Wilkes. 5 guys that we watch week in and week out, and they were all up there at the end running for it. So awesome race. I was excited to see all the side-by-side action we had, and it wasn't that guys were getting tight and couldn't complete the pass. It was the car was loose, and it was just everybody who could get on throttle the quickest, right? The guys were able to drive the cars tonight, and I think it put on for some great racing. May not have had any wrecks or cautions, and I know some people like to see that, but man, nobody can complain about the side-by-side action we had literally from green to checkers tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Right now, everybody put on a great show tonight, and like I said, I mean, I think you're right. I say the setups are just getting really pretty much near spot on for what they've been looking for, and so I think that's just going to make it all the more fun for them as the season progresses. I say, I should say, Darlington, Pocono is going to be a whole other animal. Say kind of a roval, if you will. Say just the way that track is, those 3 different types of turns. So gonna be fun to see the drivers manage that one next week. But I'll say obviously got a few about a week or so, a few days until we get to that one. Say next up we're gonna have our Super Speedway series. They'll be back again on Sunday night. So Maxwell, as always, it is a pleasure, sir. It's gonna be a lot of fun to finish up this season with you. I'm looking forward to the next one. So for all of you watching, again, really, really thankful. Say for everybody that supports the league and our broadcast here on Green White Checkered TV. I say love the activity in the chat. So it's always fun to be able to interact with you all as much as we can in real time as well. So until then though, happy Friday Eve. Hope you all have a wonderful evening. And of course, coming up, have a very happy 4th of July. And actually, we will be off on Sunday. I apologize. So we'll be off this upcoming Sunday as it is the 4th of July. So definitely enjoy your time with friends, family, loved ones. Enjoy the 4th, and we'll catch you actually on Tuesday for the Area 51 Indy Series. So until then though, have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you all on Tuesday. Have a good night.